In everyday life, we often encounter people who seem completely unshaken by the storms around them. No matter what obstacles they face, they appear calm, composed, and unfazed. Whether it's an insult, a failed plan, or a series of misfortunes, these people seem unaffected, as though the chaos of the world simply has no power over them. Have you ever wondered what these people know that you don't? What is it that enables them to stay so calm, while you may feel tossed around by every small event? Most of us, in fact almost all of us, are deeply influenced by external circumstances. We let the smallest disruptions affect us emotionally. For example, a car cutting into your lane during traffic can stir up instant anger. A colleague's offhand remark might make you feel miserable for the rest of the day. Even a stranger's glance can trigger self-doubt. These reactions seem entirely natural after all. Who wouldn't be upset or disturbed by such things? But if you stop to reflect, have you ever wondered why two people can react completely differently to the same event? For instance, one friend might crumble in despair after a breakup, while another could turn the same situation into an opportunity for growth, even seeing it as a necessary step toward a better life. Why do we respond so differently to the same triggers? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, once said, "Most people are prisoners of their own reactions." This profound statement opens up a new way of thinking. Could it be that what we perceive as a reaction to the outside world is actually a reflection of our own unresolved inner conflicts? Could it be that the external world is merely mirroring what is going on inside us? This idea helps explain why people react so differently to the same situation. When we experience emotions like anger, sadness, anxiety, or frustration, we tend to believe that these feelings are caused by external events. For instance, when someone insults you, you might get angry because you fear that their words might hold some truth, that perhaps you really are what they say. When someone ignores you, you might feel hurt because deep down, you still crave external validation and approval. If this situation keeps occurring, you may find yourself trapped in an endless loop of emotional reactions, constantly at the mercy of what others say or do. But what if everything were actually the other way around? What if the events and circumstances in the world are neutral, and it is only our interpretation of them that makes them seem either positive or negative? Could we learn to separate our feelings from the external triggers that cause them? If so, we could unlock a tremendous sense of inner freedom. Nothing can affect you unless it touches a corner of your inner world. This powerful statement holds a crucial insight. The events that unfold around us have no inherent meaning or emotional charge. They are neutral, merely existing, and only when we assign meaning to them do they acquire emotional significance. For example, two people might face the same setback. One might collapse under the weight of disappointment and failure, while the other might see it as an opportunity for growth or as a stepping stone to a better future. The only thing that makes the difference between these two responses is how each person perceives the situation. Jung also famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This means that as long as we are unaware of the stories we are telling ourselves about the world and about ourselves, we will continue to react unconsciously to external events. We will believe that the world is happening to us, rather than recognizing that our inner world is simply reacting to what is happening outside. This brings us to the concept of *** shadow work. *** shadow work refers to the process of bringing unconscious material into conscious awareness, understanding that every emotional trigger, every uncomfortable feeling, is an opportunity to become more aware of parts of ourselves that we have yet to acknowledge. Most people avoid these triggers. They prefer to suppress them, ignore them, or even blame others for them. However, those who are truly awake understand that the external world is just a reflection of their inner world. Once they realize this, they gain a level of mastery over their own lives, because they understand that the key to controlling reality lies in controlling how they perceive it. So, what is the true source of power? It lies not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering how we respond to it. When you stop reacting to external circumstances, when you stop being manipulated by the events and people in your life, you begin to free yourself from the prison of emotional reactivity. You no longer need to avoid toxic people, nor do you need to control your environment to feel safe. Instead, you develop an immunity to the forces that once triggered you. This is not indifference or numbness, but an empowered state of being, one where you are not subject to the fluctuations of the outside world. The key to this transformation lies in shifting our perspective. Rather than blaming others or external circumstances for our suffering, we must turn inward and recognize that the true source of our emotions is not what happens to us, but how we interpret it. Once we realize this, we begin to regain control, not over the world, but over how we respond to it. Many people spend the majority of their lives trying to control things they have no power over. They try to control how others perceive them, hoping for approval and validation. They attempt to manipulate situations to align with their expectations. They want life to follow a predictable path, where everything unfolds exactly as they plan. But what happens when things go wrong? What happens when life doesn't go as expected? When others disappoint or ignore us? Or when we face unexpected challenges? The truth is, most people react with frustration, anger, and despair. They feel powerless and betrayed, as though life itself is conspiring against them. But what if the key to overcoming this constant sense of frustration lies in realizing that there is only one thing you can control, and that is not the world around you. The one thing you have true control over is your perception. Carl Jung understood this fundamental truth. The world is neutral. It is neither good nor bad. It is not kind or cruel. It simply is. The events that occur in our lives are not inherently positive or negative. They only take on those qualities when we interpret them as such. Consider two people who experience the same situation. One person may lose a job and spiral into despair, thinking that the world is unfair, that they are doomed to failure, and that their life is falling apart. The other person, on the other hand, may see this same event as an opportunity, a chance to explore new career paths, learn new skills, or even pursue a dream they had long buried. The difference between these two reactions lies not in the event itself, but in how each person perceives it. Jung's insight is crucial here. He once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This suggests that as long as we are unaware of our unconscious assumptions and beliefs, we are at the mercy of them. We think the world is acting upon us, that things are happening to us for reasons beyond our control, when in reality, our emotional reactions are shaped by the stories we tell ourselves about these events. If you take a moment to reflect, you'll realize that much of the suffering we experience comes from our resistance to things we cannot control. We often try to control the uncontrollable, believing that if we can make everything fit our expectations, we will finally be happy. But this approach is a trap. The more we try to control the external world, the more power we give away to it. By doing so, we essentially surrender our freedom. When you try to control the way others see you, you give them power over your emotions. When you attempt to manipulate a situation to go your way, you give that situation control over your happiness. When you insist that life must be fair, you set yourself up for constant disappointment. The more you try to control, the more you become enslaved by your desire for control. However, the moment you stop trying to control everything around you is the moment you begin to experience true freedom. This is the paradox. When you let go of your need to control, you actually gain control. The moment you release your grip on external circumstances, you regain control over your inner world. You stop being a slave to other people's opinions, to the outcomes of situations, and to the whims of fate. Instead, you become the master of your own life. This is the freedom that comes with relinquishing the illusion of control. It doesn't mean that you become passive or indifferent to the world around you. Rather, it means you learn to accept that some things are beyond your control, and that's okay. You stop fighting against the flow of life and start flowing with it. You stop being at the mercy of every external event, and instead focus on how you can shape your internal response. The strongest control comes from mastering your perception. When you let go of your need to control others, you are no longer affected by their actions. If someone criticizes you, it no longer rattles you because your self-worth is not dependent on their approval. If something doesn't go according to plan, you are not crushed by disappointment because you understand that life is full of uncertainties, and that's part of the journey. This freedom is not about escaping responsibility or ignoring the realities of life. It's about taking full responsibility for how you perceive and react to those realities. You realize that while you cannot control external events, you can control how you interpret them. This shift in perception transforms your entire experience of life. Instead of being constantly reactive and emotionally triggered, you become proactive, responding with clarity and calmness. The more you practice this, the more resilient you become. Another key aspect of this shift is the ability to recognize and accept your emotions without allowing them to dictate your actions. Emotions are signals, not commands. They arise in response to internal and external stimuli, but they don't have to control your behavior. When you stop reacting emotionally to every little thing, you create space for more thoughtful responses. You give yourself the power to choose how to respond, rather than being a slave to the immediate emotional reaction. The freedom of letting go of control is also deeply empowering. It's a realization that you do not need to manipulate the world to feel secure, valued, or happy. Instead, you cultivate inner peace by aligning your perception with reality, by accepting that things will not always go your way, and by embracing life as it unfolds. This creates a deep sense of inner strength that no external circumstance can shake. Ultimately, the illusion of control keeps us trapped in a cycle of frustration, disappointment, and suffering. But when we learn to let go of this illusion, we unlock the true freedom that comes from mastering our perception. By changing the way we perceive the world, we change our experience of it. We stop reacting to life as if it is something that happens to us, and start engaging with it as something that we co-create. This is the essence of true empowerment. There is an undeniable power in self-awareness, but it's a power that comes with responsibility. Most people live their lives unaware of the forces that drive their emotions, behavior, and choices. They react instinctively to the world around them, often unaware of the deep emotional triggers that influence their responses. However, self-awareness is the key to understanding the underlying motivations that shape our actions and, ultimately, the quality of our lives. When we begin to observe ourselves, our thoughts, emotions, and reactions, we unlock the ability to take charge of our inner world. Self-awareness is the first step in breaking free from the automatic patterns that govern our lives. By understanding the emotional triggers that set off our reactions, we can take back control of how we respond, rather than allowing those triggers to control us. This is the foundation of emotional mastery. Jung's concept of the shadow is an important part of this process. The shadow represents the unconscious parts of ourselves that we suppress or deny. It's not just our negative traits, but also the aspects of ourselves that we have not fully integrated or accepted. These parts are often hidden in the depths of our psyche, and they can exert a powerful influence on our thoughts and actions without our awareness. They can cause us to overreact to situations or feel emotions that seem disproportionate to the circumstances. Emotional mastery begins with the awareness of our shadow. By becoming conscious of these hidden parts of ourselves, we can begin to integrate them into our conscious experience. This doesn't mean that we simply get rid of our shadow aspects. It means that we acknowledge them, understand their origins, and allow ourselves to evolve. Rather than being driven by unconscious forces, we begin to respond from a place of awareness and choice. When you stop suppressing your emotions, they stop controlling you. Rather than reacting to everything with fear, anger, or sadness, you learn to sit with your emotions, observe them, and understand what they are trying to tell you. Emotions are not inherently negative. They are simply signals from within. They arise to help us understand what is happening in our inner world and how we are responding to the world around us. The key is to stop viewing emotions as good or bad, and to start seeing them as information. Take, for example, feelings of anger. Anger often arises when we feel threatened, misunderstood, or disrespected. Instead of letting anger fuel an impulsive reaction, we can use it as an opportunity to ask ourselves, what is it about this situation that is triggering this emotion? What part of me feels threatened, and why? By doing so, we turn anger into an opportunity for self-reflection and growth, rather than allowing it to dictate our actions. Similarly, feelings of sadness or fear can be seen as signals that something needs attention. Fear might arise because we are stepping into the unknown, and our subconscious is trying to protect us. Sadness might emerge when we feel a loss or when something in our life is out of alignment with our values. Instead of pushing these emotions away or numbing ourselves to them, we can embrace them as messengers of our inner state. They provide valuable insight into what is important to us and what we need to heal or change. The power of self-awareness also involves recognizing patterns in our behavior and thought processes. Have you ever noticed that you react in a certain way to particular situations, even when you know it's not helpful? Perhaps you get defensive when criticized or shut down when things don't go according to plan. These are habitual responses that have become automatic over time, and they often stem from deeper insecurities or unresolved emotional wounds. The key to breaking these patterns is awareness. Once you become aware of your habitual reactions, you can begin to change them. You can choose to respond differently, consciously, and with intention. This doesn't mean that you suppress or deny your emotions. It means that you have the ability to choose how you express them. You can acknowledge your anger, frustration, or fear, but you don't have to let those emotions dictate your behavior. This is where true emotional mastery comes in. It's the ability to experience a wide range of emotions without being controlled by them. It's about learning to navigate your inner world with grace and awareness so that you can respond to life with clarity, compassion, and wisdom. When you master your emotions, you free yourself from the unconscious patterns that have been running your life. You stop being a prisoner of your past experiences and start living consciously in the present moment. But mastering emotions is not just about managing them in the moment. It's also about understanding the root causes of our emotional triggers. Why do certain situations, people, or experiences elicit a strong emotional response in you? Often, these triggers are tied to unresolved issues from our past. They may be linked to childhood experiences, past relationships, or traumatic events that we have not fully processed. The more we explore these roots, the more we can heal and release the emotional charge associated with them. Healing is not a quick fix, and it doesn't happen overnight. But through self-awareness and emotional mastery, we can gradually release the hold that past experiences have on us. We stop allowing our past to dictate our present and future, and instead, we begin to shape our lives consciously. This is the true power of self-awareness, the ability to free ourselves from the chains of our past and create a future based on our highest potential. As you embark on this journey of emotional mastery, it's important to remember that it's not about achieving perfection. We are all human, and we will continue to experience a full spectrum of emotions throughout our lives. The goal is not to eliminate negative emotions, but to transform our relationship with them. Instead of being ruled by our emotions, we learn to live with them, to understand them, and to choose how we respond. Self-awareness and emotional mastery are transformative practices that lead to profound growth. As you cultivate these practices in your own life, you will begin to notice a shift in the way you experience the world. You will feel more empowered, more centered, and more in control of your emotional landscape. And as a result, you will find yourself becoming less reactive to external events and more responsive to the deeper wisdom within you. Letting go is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal growth. To many, it feels like surrendering to the unknown, giving up on control, or even resigning to life's circumstances. But the true essence of letting go is not about giving up, it's about releasing the illusion of control. It's about letting go of the grip that the outside world and our internal fears have on us, so that we can finally experience freedom in its purest form. There is a fundamental difference between control and influence. Control implies an attempt to dominate, to impose your will over something or someone. Influence, on the other hand, is subtle and powerful. It's about creating space for things to unfold naturally while maintaining alignment with your inner truth. In the same way, when we speak of letting go, we are not talking about abandoning our desires or goals, but about freeing ourselves from the attachments that tie us to outcomes, expectations, and other people's opinions. The first step in this process is acknowledging the limitations of control. In life, there are so many things that are beyond our influence: people's actions, the world's circumstances, even the future. Yet, despite this, many people spend their lives trying to control every variable, hoping that if they exert enough force, they can bend reality to their will. But this constant push and pull only leads to frustration, anxiety, and a deep sense of powerlessness. True freedom comes from recognizing that the only thing we can truly control is ourselves. We control our reactions, our mindset, our perspective. And when we let go of the need to control the world around us, we find that we can begin to navigate life with much more ease. This is where the concept of non-attachment comes into play. Non-attachment is the art of engaging with life fully, but without being emotionally enslaved by it. It is the ability to desire, to strive, and to dream, but not to tie your happiness to the outcome. It's about being present in the journey, rather than obsessing over the destination. When we practice non-attachment, we find that we can engage in life more fully because we are no longer living in constant fear of loss, failure, or disappointment. One of the most profound ways that letting go manifests is in our relationships. So often, we try to control how others perceive us, how they treat us, or how they respond to us. We may seek validation, approval, or admiration from others, thinking that it will somehow fill the void within us. But the more we seek external validation, the more we give our power away. True liberation comes when we stop seeking validation from others and start validating ourselves. It comes when we release the need to change or control others and instead focus on changing and evolving ourselves. By letting go of our attachment to how others think and behave, we open ourselves up to deeper, more authentic connections. We stop trying to fit ourselves into other people's expectations and instead live in alignment with our own truth. Letting go also involves releasing the need for external outcomes to determine our worth. So many people place their happiness and self-esteem on the achievement of certain goals, whether it's a promotion at work, a certain financial milestone, or the approval of others. But the problem with this is that external achievements are fleeting. Once you attain them, they often do not provide the lasting fulfillment that you imagined they would. When we tie our self-worth to external outcomes, we are constantly setting ourselves up for disappointment. The true source of fulfillment lies within us. It's not found in what we have or what we achieve, but in how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. When we let go of the need for external validation and begin to cultivate a sense of self-worth from within, we unlock a profound sense of peace. We no longer need to chase after external approval because we are already whole. But letting go is not just about releasing attachments to things, it's also about releasing attachments to our identities. We often define ourselves by our past experiences, our roles, our achievements, or our relationships. We believe that we are the sum of our past, and that we must live in accordance with the person we once were. But this is an illusion. You are not the person you were yesterday, and you are not the person you will be tomorrow. You are the person you choose to be in this moment. This is where true freedom lies, in the ability to continuously reinvent yourself, to shed the identities that no longer serve you, and to live in alignment with your highest self. It's about embracing the present moment without being anchored by the past or controlled by the future. The more you let go of who you think you are, the more you open up to who you are becoming. This is a radical act of self-liberation. At its core, letting go is about surrendering to the flow of life. It's about trusting that life is unfolding exactly as it should, and that even in moments of difficulty or uncertainty, there is a deeper wisdom guiding you. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. Every experience, whether positive or negative, is an opportunity for growth, healing, and self-discovery. When we surrender to the flow of life, we stop fighting against the current and instead begin to move with it. The irony of letting go is that when we stop trying to control everything, we begin to experience a level of control that is much more profound. We stop reacting to life with resistance, fear, and anxiety, and instead approach it with a sense of ease, peace, and flow. We no longer live in reaction to external circumstances, but in response to the deeper wisdom within us. Ultimately, the journey toward true freedom is a journey inward. It is about shedding the illusions that have bound us and embracing the truth of who we are. It is about releasing the need to control the outside world and instead mastering our inner world. When we do this, we unlock a freedom that is not contingent on external circumstances, but on our ability to trust, surrender, and flow with life. This is the true meaning of liberation, not freedom from the world, but freedom within the world. It is the freedom to be yourself, to live authentically, and to respond to life from a place of inner peace and power. When you let go of the need to control, you free yourself from the chains that bind you to the past and the future. You become fully present, fully alive, and fully free.